Timbo's a douchebag, so it's not hard to draw the truth from him. So what the hell are you doing around here, Timbo?
All right, I confess, but you'll be surprised. I was looking for you boys. The whole town's talking about you.
Really? I'm swelling with pride.
Everybody's whispering about the chicken police being back together again. And that you've already turned the whole city upside down.
Great news. What else do they say?
That you've threatened Ibn Wessler's sweetheart Natasha, then trashed Madame Zavas's brothel. Hard stuff.
Really? I'm not surprised.
Oh, and the best! You set fire to a ship, too.
Yeah, right.
Ah, and one more thing. A poor girl was found dead at Natasha's place after you visited there.
Is that so? And you believe all that?
I'm a journalist, Sonny. Doesn't matter what I believe.
Yeah, right. And why were you looking for us here, of all places?
You offend me, Sonny. I'm your biggest fan. I knew the hop dog's gonna be on your list.
So it was a lucky guess.
Something like that. And I'm wasting time here often anyway, so I had nothing to lose. And here we are.
Out with it, Tim. Who squawked?
Well, any decent journalist has connections everywhere, Sonny. So have I.
So?
You don't think I'm gonna betray my source? What do you take me for, a rat? Sorry, I mean, I didn't mean it like that. I have no problem with rats.
What happened to Zip, Tim?
Okay. When I arrived here, the hop dog was already closed. Zip wanted to shoo me away, but I managed to persuade him to talk to me a little. We're old friends, Sonny, you know? And I have this personal charm.
Yeah, right, the, charm. Get to the point, Timbo.
Okay. So, he was totally crazy. I've never seen him like that before. He was flustered, flailing, and talking absolute gibberish.
He must have said something, since you're such great friends.
Well, he just said he'd go to the only place where there are even bigger scoundrels than those that are after him.
Really? I can guess where he meant.
I didn't have a clue. Anyway, after he closed the dog behind me, and then the cops came and took him away in handcuffs, I came to the conclusion that all of this makes no sense.
Zip, you clever son of a bitch.
Why? Oh, what is it? Oh, tell me.
You just keep your beak out of this, Scribbler. I think I've got an idea about what our little friend's up to. Timbo loves to brag, and it's easy to approach him through his ego. Best if we ruthlessly exploit that. Working on a new front-page article, eh?
Well, if a specific celebrity couple's willing to give me an interview, then maybe I am.
Don't even dream about it, Timby.
Eee.
As you're so well-informed, Timster, tell me about Madame Zavas.
Well, they say she's kinda angry because someone trashed her brothel. Oh, and that someone was allegedly you and Marty.
Yeah, you already told us. Good story. Anything else? With a little more truth in it.
Allegedly, Ibn Wessler's men were seen around the brothel. I have a hunch that they were the same two guys that came here, too.
Gee, that may even be true. Timbo, you pay attention to everything. Did anyone else come here?
Besides the coppers? Yeah, a ram and a bobcat, in fact.
But you just told us it wasn't them.
Wasn't them what? I didn't say they took Zip, because that's not how it happened.
Don't make me mad, Tim. We're really not in the mood for this.
Hey, I'm only telling you the truth. They stopped here in a fancy big car, looked around, then left. Zip was no longer here. Neither were the coppers, okay?
Tiny Tim is a true fan of ours, and it's time to finally use that to our advantage. Help your old pals, Tim. What was Zip doing before they took him away?
Hey, you're trying to grease me up with all that sweet talk, Sonny honey.
Of course not, Tim. We're old pals.
I'm sure we are, but I don't remember you telling me that without an ulterior motive. But you know what? I don't care. Feels good anyway.
I'm glad to hear that. So...
Zip was acting crazy. He was running around, knocking over everything and throwing things away. Then he suddenly disappeared into the kitchen. I guess that's when he made the call, because soon after that, the coppers arrived.
And in between?
Well, I didn't see him in between.
Why didn't you go inside? He's your friend, isn't he?
Well, I tried, Sonny. The door was closed. I knocked, even yelled. You know how a yelling seagull sounds like. But nothing.
I think I have a hunch what that was all about.
Good for you, Sonny.
Zip was hiding something in the dog, right?
What do you mean exactly?
Well, you tell me. You're good old friends, aren't you?
Well, that's right, Sonny, but Zip's not the kind to easily share his secrets. But now that you put it that way...
That's more like it, Tim. Tell me, what do you know?
Well, I don't know what it could be exactly. I mean, maybe it's not even relevant, but I'm sure Zip was trying to get rid of something when I arrived here.
What and where?
I don't know, okay? I already told you too much. If Zip hears about me telling you all this, he's never gonna talk to me again.
Tim, unless we find Zip, he's not gonna talk to anyone ever again. Not in this life, at least. Zip is a real opportunist. He's trying to turn everything to his advantage, but we're gonna turn the tables. Who did you escape from? And why here, Zip?
Why? Because I like living, that's why.
How did you know they were coming for you?
I got a tip-off from a friend that I should pack my things and go if I want to live. But I had nowhere to run. Yeah, you know me. The hot dog's my everything.
So you thought you'd be safe here?
Of course. Ibben's people are everywhere, but, maybe it's harder to get rid of me at the PD.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that. How did you manage to piss off Ibn Wessler?
I don't know, all right?
I don't have time for this. Sing like a bird, or I can't guarantee your safety.
I did something for him, that's all, okay? A tiny little favor. You know how it goes, Sonny. Animals like Wessler make a living out of these kinds of favors.
Tiny little favor, eh? Wessler's kind don't send assassins after someone for tiny little favors.
You have no idea what's going on in his head nowadays, pal. Fella's gone totally insane.
What did you have to do for Ibn?
I never hurt anyone, all right? Let's make that clear right now.
I never said you did.
I just had to get rid of a package for the boss. That was the job. Quick, clean, simple, right?
Yeah? What kind of package?
A very heavy one.
Dead bodies are kinda heavy, Zip.
How did you know it was a dead body?
I didn't. I was bluffing, but thanks for the answer.
You lousy chicken.
Zip's a secretive little specimen, but knowing his past, it's no surprise. I must take advantage of this and trap him with it. So, a dead body, huh? What kind, exactly?
How should I know? What am I, a butcher? A zoologist?
You still know something about it.
It was wrapped up entirely, okay? I didn't see any of it. It was, I don't know, average. Like you and me.
Scaly, hairy, furry, feathery, or bald? What kind, exactly?
Hey, I don't know, all right? I told you it was wrapped up.
If they let you out, what do you think will happen?
I don't know, okay? And maybe it was a stupid idea coming here, but this was my best stupid idea. Maybe I'll win a few days with it.
Or a few hours, more likely. If you help us, maybe we can cover this whole mess up.
You mean you can be bought, Sonny? What a time to be alive. The unbribable Santino Featherland.
I'm suspended, Zip, and I'm talking chicken to raccoon.
Oh, I see. You're a foul.
Why did you keep that wristband?
Because it seemed important. And because, you know me, I'm trying to turn every situation to my advantage. That's the way Zip works.
How, exactly?
Who knows? It seemed important. It just fell out of the body bag and I thought, look, this shit seems important, so why not?
That's why they want to kill you.
I have no friggin' way of knowing that. Why don't you ask them, huh?
What happened to the body, Zip?
I don't know, Sonny. All I had to do was drop it in an abandoned part of the hive.
Where starvation's most prevalent, I guess. Where insects fight for their survival, right?
I couldn't have found a better way to get rid of a corpse myself. All that fresh meat must have been gone in a matter of minutes. Fuck, I don't know. I didn't stick around to see what happened.
You make me sick, Zip.
You would have done exactly the same thing in my situation. Anyone would have. I got the order, I did what I had to. I wanted to survive.
That's Ibn for you. Blackmail.
Yeah, something like that.
Zip may be secretive, but if he manages to open up, he's also honest. He's not trying to change the subject anymore, so I only have one thing left to do. Ask the right questions. So, he wanted to blame it all on the insects. Why would he do that?
They're easy prey.
Yeah, I get it.
Insanely simple, Sonny. Ibn Wessler's not the only one who takes advantage of the tensions, you know. It's the easiest method of sweeping things under the rug.
I've heard that Wessler's trying to break into the substitute meat industry.
Surprised? What do you think will happen if Wessler saves Roachtown from starvation with a new, cheap, and accessible faux meat product, eh? Boom!
He's gonna be a hero.
And maybe he'll get voted into the Council of 12.
Clucking hell. I'm asking you for the last time. What's with the wristband?
I honestly have no idea, Sonny. It simply fell out of the bag when I threw it down in the alley. At first, I wanted to leave it there, but then, well, you know me, huh?
And that's the whole story?
That's the whole story. At first, I thought it was some kind of, code. But on a wristband, it's usually an ID number instead.
Like on prisoners?
Exactly. But I know from experience that prisoners don't get bands like this. Not in Clawville. It looks more like something from a hospital.
Maybe you're right, Zip. While we're at it, was it Dr. Bubo who gave you the tip-off to get out of the hop dog?
Yeah, it was. Why?
Thanks, Zip. You've helped us put some vital pieces into place.
Well, that's great. Hey, then help me, Sonny. I don't want to rot in here or end up in the alley of the hive.
We'll see what we can do.
You gotta help me.
Be glad I'm not charging you as an accomplice to murder here and now. Just keep your head down. Understand?
I will, Boss Bird. I will.
That's more like it. Dr. Quetzal's a real mystery. But I can turn that to my advantage. I just need to focus on the strangest pieces of the puzzle. So when did Albert become a resident of your institute?
Albert and Hobart, or Ibn as you call him, arrived here almost exactly 4 years ago.
Could you describe that day more specifically?
It was not long after New Year's Eve, maybe the first week of the year, if I'm not mistaken. It was sleeting that day. Wind was banging incessantly on the windows. The power was going out for short periods of time.
What was your first impression of them?
I already knew the Wessler name. I knew who they were. Or at least I knew one of them, Hobart Wessler. He was famous. Gangster, moneylender, celebrity, lover.
And Albert?
He was new to me, an invisible grey ghost. The family had tried to keep his existence a secret.
Why?
Because they were ashamed of him, of course, Mr. Featherland. That's how it usually is.
What was your first impression of him?
He was silent, but observed everything that surrounded him. His eyes were constantly moving, never stopped for a second.
Was he afraid?
I wouldn't say so. It seemed to me that he wanted to move into our institution voluntarily. It looked as if he couldn't wait to be here, alone, locked up in silence and darkness.
Didn't you think of that as unusual?
Of course I did, but who am I to judge? It was rather special treatment.
What kind of special treatment did Albert get?
You know, if an institution like ours has to accept a Wessler as a guest, there's bound to be some favoritism.
And complete secrecy, I guess.
Yes, but that's the case for all our patients, Mr. Featherland.
Of course. So in what way did he receive more than the others?
Basically, we don't admit anyone into our institution without a complete and thorough prior assessment. In the case of Albert, we put that aside.
So you didn't even know if he had anything wrong with him?
Initially, no. He was more of a guest than a patient.
How did you see Albert when you first met?
Albert was shy and reserved, like a ghost. He almost never touched anything. It was evident he was exceptionally intelligent. He measured and observed everything around him.
What else?
He was delicate and graceful, almost like a woman. Yes. He was rather feminine. He was an artist, Mr. Featherland, a magnificent painter, and rather good writer, too. Sometimes I even heard him sing.
Why did he have to be locked up?
I asked the same thing at first.
Are you telling me Albert had multiple personalities?
We found out very quickly that there was no other reason for the cause of his seizures. He had a cold and calculating personality who sometimes, especially on stormy days, took the reins over their shared mind.
He had these seizures from the beginning.
Yes, Mr. Featherland, but they started to intensify after Albert left our institution for the first time.
He did what? Left the institution? More than once?
Oh, yes, Mr. Featherland. Albert left the institution on several occasions until the last time, when he failed to come back.
Quetzal's not only very observant, but he's addicted to details. I must focus on that if I want to get closer to the truth. Focus. Addicted to details. When and why did Albert leave the institution for the first time?
It was about 2 years ago. Mr. Hobart Wessler appeared and demanded we let his brother go free. Naturally, we obliged. We had no idea if we'd ever see him again.
But you did.
He returned the same day. Albert was ecstatic. He was unrestrained. I could almost say happy.
That was unusual for him?
I had never seen him like that before, Mr. Featherland. He just smiled and stared at the empty wall for hours.
Did he ever tell you what happened to him outside?
Of course he did. Albert and I had a good relationship. He was working on a painting for his brother.
Was it a painting of a lovely lady cat?
Oh, exactly. So you already knew about that.
Yes, Dr. Quetzal, I've seen it. So Albert left on many occasions to continue working on the painting.
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. Every time he came back, he was like a different person. But unfortunately, his seizures also multiplied and became more dangerous.
More dangerous?
Albert was hurting himself, and on one occasion he even tried to hurt me. It was unprecedented. It seemed his confined personality was taking over their shared mind entirely, piece by piece.
Do you think the painting caused it?
Not the painting, Mr. Featherland.
But its subject.
Exactly. He was obsessed, right until that fateful day when he returned to us for the last time.
What exactly happened that day, Doctor?
It wasn't Hobart who brought his brother back that day, but two of his gorillas. Not literally, I mean. And Albert was in a terrible, terrible state.
What happened to him?
I don't like to talk about that, Mr. Featherland.
It could be vital to the case, Dr. Quetzal. Don't back down.
Oh, you're right. There's no use turning back now. So, Albert's tongue was torn out, or cut off, I don't know exactly, and he was blinded in one eye, or rather, one of his eyes was missing entirely.
So you're saying Albert was brought back horribly mutilated?
Yes. And they didn't give any explanation as to what had happened. They simply told me it was some kind of accident.
Dr. Quetzal is cold and professional, but he's also very confused. Maybe it's cruel, but I must exploit his vulnerability if I want to learn everything about Albert. Focus, confused. Maybe it's not easy for you to talk about it, but did you examine his wounds thoroughly?
I'm not that kind of doctor, Mr. Featherland, but even I could determine his tongue was either cut out or bitten off, and his eye was gouged out. He also had several broken bones.
But there's no doubt it wasn't an accident.
I don't believe it was, Mr. Featherland.
I totally agree. Concentrate, Doctor. What do you think happened to Albert?
I'm sure it was Hobart. He ordered his men to mutilate poor Albert.
But why would he do that?
Maybe Albert saw something he could accidentally reveal.
To whom? The four walls? A couple of crazies? You?
To anyone, Mr. Featherland.
I don't think it's that simple, Doctor. But thank you for your honest opinion.
You're welcome, Detective.
What happened then? How did Albert disappear?
A few weeks later, Hobart came to visit Albert one more time. Albert had been in terrible condition by then. We even had to transfer him to another cell, a more safe one.
What did Hobart do during the visit?
He didn't do anything. He just sat and watched his brother, who was in an almost vegetative state by then.
Couldn't you manage to draw anything out of him? You or Hobart?
Nothing. For a while, he was trying to signal something. Perhaps he was too afraid. And most likely his fingers had been broken too, so he couldn't even write.
Do you think Hobart could have killed Albert?
It's horrible to say it, but I'm sure of it.
How did he disappear in the end? Did someone come for him?
That's what's most eerie about it all, Mr. Featherland. He simply disappeared. His door, which only I had a key for, was open.
Did anyone see anything?
No one. We interrogated the staff, even the patients. He simply vanished off the face of the wilderness. We don't know what happened to him.
Unfortunately, I have a hunch. Thank you, Doctor. You've been a great help.
Oh, well, I'm glad I could be of help. But please, I now must attend to my work.
We understand, Doctor. Thank you. Albert is an imposter. He's not who he says he is, and might not even know who he really is. I have to concentrate on this first, to soften him up, and to avoid us being shot in the gizzard, of course. What were you thinking, Albert? How long did you think you could keep it up?
Until the end of my life, if needs. Yeah, I cared about nothing except for her to love me. Not for who Ibn was, but for who I am.
Why did you think that would happen? Everybody noticed the change.
Yeah, I knew it would be hard, Santino. But I also knew animals see what they want to see. I didn't have to behave like Ibn. They only had to believe I'm him.
Why did you decide to take your brother's place?
Yeah, as you're curious, from the moment I laid eyes on Natasha for the first time. But I had to convince myself that this was the only way.
You've never talked about your feelings for Natasha with your brother, am I right?
Are you insane? Yeah, Ibn would have had me killed immediately. And no one would ever know.
So instead, you've done the same thing, haven't you? What a comfortable excuse.
Comfortable? Do you think all of this was just some kind of cruel game for me? I had to destroy the person I loved and respected the most.
Cry me a river.
You know, there's only a thin, fragile membrane between love and hate. If anything touches it, it tears immediately. You felt like this before, haven't you? Yeah, I can see it in your eyes.
You can analyze me until the sun goes down, Wessler, but you won't get far with that.
Yeah, evasive answer. So I'm right.
Did you ever believe that you were Ibn Wessler?
Did I ever believe? I still do. I believed it all along. Don't you get it? I am Ibn Wessler.
And also, Albert Wessler.
I see you're starting to understand.
So you feel you're two people at the same time, even now?
Does it sound crazy? Maybe it is. But Ibn lives inside me. Sometimes he's even stronger than Albert ever was.
Do you think you can avoid the gas chamber with this, Albert?
I don't have to avoid anything, Sonny. You and your friend, will never leave this place. It's better if you start getting used to the thought.
You're not the cold-blooded killer you'd like to think you are.
Yeah, do you think so? Try me, detective.
That was your plan. Take his place and live happily ever after.
Why? Isn't it good enough of a plan, Mr. Featherland? It was perfect, even in its imperfection.
Which is?
Ibn's ghost.
Is what?
Please don't take it literally, Mr. Chicken. I'm not talking about spirits. When Ibn died, I didn't just take his place, but also his role. He himself, his essence, if you will. Yeah, though I guess that's too much for you to understand.
So you mean Ibn's here with us even now?
He was here all along. Don't you get it? I am Hobart Ibn Wessler.
I must get serious, because looking at the gun in Wessler's trembling hand, I'm afraid I don't have much time. Albert is a cruel psychopath, but maybe I can turn that cruelty against him. When was the moment you decided to kill him, Albert?
When I drew the last stroke on that fatal painting, Mr. Featherland. When I glanced at it for the last time, and then at Natasha, who was shivering under the weight of my gaze.
You simply fell in love with her? End of story?
Not in the slightest, Mr. Featherland. Love is, just chemistry. What I felt was more than that.
Everybody thinks that, Albert. But we all feel the same. We're just fools.
No, Mr. Featherland. Not at all. At that moment, I knew what I was gonna do. I knew that the world was coming to an end if I didn't do it. It implodes on itself and ceases to exist. I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't.
Let him have her, right? You simply wanted her for yourself.
I wanted her for ourselves, Sonny. I was him by then. He just didn't know it yet.
Do you think you can explain everything with your insanity?
Don't be a fool, Sonny. Insanity is just a temporary state. Just a stop on the way to enlightenment.
So you admit you're insane. That's surprising for your kind.
Of course I'm not insane.
Ah, well, here we are.
Albert was insane. He lost all connections to reality. But I saved him.
You mean you're Ibn?
Both of us, Mr. Featherland.
Okay. I almost understand everything now.
Don't mock me, Mr. Featherland. You're still at the wrong end of the gun, you remember.
It would be hard to forget. When did you decide that we too have to die?
Can I be honest? I didn't want to hurt you, even after what you've done at the club, after interrogating Natasha and me so cruelly. I didn't care. You just saw what's on the outside, just scratching the surface.
Until we found Deborah.
I didn't even know about you finding her until the phone call from the Nile. Then it all became clear. I understood I underestimated you. I had to remedy that mistake before it was too late.
You remove anyone if they happen to cross your path, don't you? Without batting an eye.
Ibn had always been like that. Albert the opposite, so don't think I wasn't struggling, but, eventually, yeah. Courage won, every time.
You mean fear?
Yeah. What do you know about these concepts, detective? You spent your life chasing petty nobodies until you turned into one of them.
I may be a nobody, Mr. Wessler, but at least I know who and what I am. I'm Santino Featherland. Tell me, Can you still tell who you really are? Albert, Ibn, both of them? Neither.
Enough, Santino. Enough games. Ask your last question before I get tired of you and pull the trigger.
I'm very close to breaking him. But if I'm too hard on him, I could quickly be signing my death warrant. It's time to dig a little bit deeper and uncover Wessler's wounds. Natasha was kind to you, right? Too kind.
Natasha was, simply amazing, gentle, kind, lively, but still so, distant.
You're telling me.
It's like she was from another world. A world where everything's full of charm and grace and everything's fragile and delicate. Do you understand?
I think I do, yes.
I knew Albert's touch would harm her. Albert is rough. Albert can't keep such a delicate thing in his arms.
That's why you had to become Ibn, am I right?
I didn't take Ibn's place, Mr. Featherland. I became one with him, can't you see? It's the only way I could comprehend and accept the miracle that was Natasha.
Was?
I think I've corrupted her. She's not that gentle and pure creature I painted on the canvas anymore. I ruined her. She became rotten under my hands.
Maybe it's not too late, Albert. Tell her the truth and end this.
No. You can't understand this. She can't either. I killed Ibn, but he also killed me, can't you see? We're nothing without each other.
You can't be two people at the same time, Albert. Nobody can bear the weight of the sins of two souls.
Ibn loved her. I admired her. Ibn was crazy about her. I've been crazy for a long time. Ibn idolized her, and I hated her. And if there's anything more blind, more devoted, more extreme, and more true than love, it could only be hate, Mr. Featherland. It's an endlessly exciting, thrilling, and warm feeling. And infinitely red. Just like love.
You know you're not going to be able to go through with it, right? That you won't be able to carry the weight. But you still did it. Why?
Yeah, if I didn't kill him and become one with him, Albert would have died, Mr. Featherland.
And the threats? Which one of you was that? Albert or Ibn? Who wrote them? And which one of you killed Deborah?
In my world, Ibn and I are inseparable. Just like love and hate are one and the same. And I hate Natasha so much that I could destroy myself along with her, just so she would die with me. Are you familiar with this feeling, Mr. Featherland?
More than life itself.
You see? We're not so different after all.
You and I have nothing in common, Wessler. You know why?
Why, Mr. Featherland?
Because if I were in your shoes, I would have pulled the trigger a long time ago.
Goodbye, Sonny.
So long, Albert.